millions of Americans, whether they manufacture the nation's steel, its airplanes, its ships, or automobiles, the quitting whistle signals the end to a day of work and forecasts the approach of evening and the coming of night. When America's industrial giants are at rest, the physical investment is all that remains to suggest the immense productivity of our nation. But industrial strength depends not on buildings and machinery so much as on the talents and energies of human beings. To know these American workers is to catch the spirit of American industry. On an ordinary day, thousands of them work in this automobile plant in South Bend, Indiana. Among them are many families. For instance, in body assembly, we come across the name Bocon. The R is for Rudy. In the drafting department works his brother, Joseph Bocon, Jr. The Bocon in final assembly is William S., known as Bill. And finally, in the paint department, during the day, you'll find the head of the family, Joseph Bocon, Sr. What kind of people make up this family of American workers? Let's find out by starting with Joseph Bocon, Sr. On 95 acres of good Indiana farmland out on Western Avenue, 4 miles from the South Bend city line, lives Joe Bocon, pop to his family. Pop came to America from a European farm in his early teens. He worked and saved and bought this place about 25 years ago, dividing it among 3 sons and 4 daughters as they got married. Now, he and his wife have 12 grandchildren, with more on the way. Mom Bocon, 62, is a woman of talent. She runs an efficient, comfortable household and excels in needlework, making dresses, draperies, slip covers, and embroidering the family linen as well. Behind Pop's garden is the land he gave to his oldest son, Joe Bocon, Jr. Joe, Jr. inherited his father's love of the soil. His well-equipped 10-acre nursery is a full-time hobby during the hours when he isn't making automobiles. Joe's sister, Mary, oldest of the Bocon girls, is the mother of the youngest of the clan. Like most of the Bocons, Mary and her family live on a section of her father's farm down the road. Mary's husband, Cass, was a radio man in the Navy. In the evenings and on weekends, he services the family's dozen-odd radio sets and studies electronics. Rudy Bocon's hobby is different from those of the other men. As a boy, he used to trap muskrats. Now he raises another valuable fur-bearing animal, mink. Mrs. Rudy and her sisters-in-law have found mink scarves under the Christmas tree, presents which to many women are great luxuries. The third Bocon brother, Bill, has installed a machine shop in his garage. He spends just about all his free time working on a half-dozen pet projects. You can always be sure that one or more of his mechanically minded Bocon nephews is on hand to help Uncle Bill. Bill's also an amateur movie producer with his own camera and a projection machine. The workshop is such an attraction for the youngsters that when one of them is missing, say around lunchtime, it's not hard to figure out where he can be found. Next door to Bill's garage is the home of his sister Irene and her husband, who works at the plant too. They first met when Irene was a stenographer in the personnel department. Now, in typical Bocon fashion, they are the parents of a growing family and find it necessary to make the unfinished attic into an extra bedroom. Velma Bocon's husband is the only close Bocon relative who isn't in the business of making automobiles. He runs a service station, and his steadiest customers, of course, are his wife's family. Lillian is the youngest Bocon sister. Her recent marriage brought a new Joe into a family which already had 3 Joes. New Joe works in the truck plant. For busy mothers with household chores, 12 active kids can be and are quite a problem. Bill's wife, Mary, helps control the situation by seeing that the children get an hour's rest after lunch. As with the kids, Pop, too, has a siesta. This Saturday, Lillian has called a special meeting of the Mary Ann Club, named after Mary and Ann, the wives of 2 of the brothers who founded the Studebaker Corporation over a century ago. The girls will discuss the Century of Styles musical show, which their club is putting on to help celebrate the company's 100th birthday party. When a bunch of women get so serious, a man can always figure out an important job for himself elsewhere. For some time now, Pop has been helping Bill with his new house. So have the other boys. House raising, a tradition in New England, is also a tradition in this family of Studebaker craftsmen out here in Indiana. Sunday morning. With the Bocons, almost everything is a family project. This particular Sunday, there's a feeling of excitement in the air. It's Pop's 63rd birthday. And though he's reached the age when birthdays are no longer of much interest to him, that doesn't go for Mom or the rest of the family. Plans are afoot for later in the day that Pop doesn't know about. The motorcade gets underway on the dot, as usual. The 6 Bocon automobiles, sedately cruising at 25 and evenly spaced in line, are a familiar Sunday morning sight out on Western Avenue. Back home, one of the mothers, having been to an earlier church service, takes her turn as the family babysitter. Pop still doesn't suspect what's going on, even when Mom makes the unusual request that they drive all the way in town to see the new school before going home. Meanwhile, there's plenty of activity at the house. For when all the Bocons get together, a meal becomes a banquet. On the birthday menu will be some of the dishes Pop likes best, cooked according to Mom's own recipes. Setting up for about 25 people is simply a matter of the usual BOCON cooperation. With everything ready, all that remains for the last minute is watchful waiting.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Papa. Happy birthday to you.
Mom pitches in as usual. The girls learned a long time ago that you just can't keep her out of the kitchen. Many years ago, when Pop first came to America and South Bend, the chances are he might have dreamed of a scene like this, never thinking that it would come true. He had no way of knowing how rich the rewards of a free land could be. Probably no one will ever know what Pop thinks on such occasions, except himself. Bill is the BOCON historian and has made a film record of nearly every important event in the family. By now, the BOCONs are pretty well used to posing for pictures. Today, the party doesn't end with dinner. Bill has arranged an extra added attraction. Last month, when Lillian and new Joe were married, the family cameraman was on hand. Now, the pictures are ready for the world premiere.
Presenting Lillian BOCON in She Got Her Man. Well, BOCON, here we see our baby on her wedding day. And this young person, pretty as a picture, is the mother of the bride. Here's someone else. Hey, Mary Jo, how about a kiss? Thanks, honey. Remember the chow? Wow. From the way our guests put it away, you'd think they didn't expect to eat for a week. And that went for everybody except Lily and the bridegroom, who was too excited. From soup to nuts, the whole party was wonderful, as you can tell from this lineup of satisfied customers. Aren't we lucky? And now, here they are, just before they went away. Something old, something new. Something borrowed, something blue. We always said Marlene Dietrich didn't have a thing on Lily. And so they lived happily ever after. Bye now.
Monday morning. On schedule, Rudy BOCON's car leaves Western Avenue and pulls up at his father's house promptly at 6:45. Although there are 7 cars and trucks in the family, the BOCONs usually team up to drive to work. 5 days a week, from north, south, east, and west, the BOCONs, the McGowans, the Allens, the Lawsons, and nearly 5,000 other family groups converge on South Bend and the immense factory. More than 20,000 strong, these men and women make up the Studebaker family. and Bill usually make the drive in 25 minutes flat. Cass and Joe Jr. arrive at the gates a few minutes later, followed right after by Rudy and Pop. New machines, efficient schedules, and advanced techniques contribute to America's productive might. But the quality of a product in the last analysis depends on the spirit of the people who make it, on human beings. This automobile, more than any other modern motor car, is the product of craftsmen, of sons and grandsons, of nephews and brothers who, by the thousands, share family traditions and inherited skills. The sum total of all this experience, of talents and years combined, is built into and gives distinction to every automobile that comes from this factory. In a way, the Bocon family symbolizes the thousands of craftsmen whose product is the Studebaker. New models appear on the drafting boards of men like Joe Jr. and Cass. On the assembly line, men like Bill apply to their jobs the skills and inventiveness they make use of in their workshops at home. Further down the line, the Rudy Bocons do their part on the front end and other stages of the assembly. Pop, at his job on the automobile of today, can remember the wagons and other vehicles he and many of the men still working with him helped to build years and years ago. Tonight's 100th anniversary show will turn time back even further than Pop can remember. In the show, Lillian Bocon of the Personnel Department will be Miss 1952. Hundreds of employees look forward to the show tonight, for it is a community project. Many a South Bend charity will benefit from it. To be their master of ceremonies, the girls have asked Fred McFall of the machine shop to lend them a hand. The Bocons are but one of the many family groups in the audience who typify the people who make up the Studebaker family of families. People like the 8 Wilk brothers total their time with the company, and it comes to 125 years. John Claver, his son, 2 daughters, and 2 grandsons, one of scores of family teams. C.M. Schultheis and his son Donald, they work in the general offices, along with many other father-son teams. The Thorntons, Father Russell, his sister, 5 sons, and the 2 grandsons he brought into the plant. And Orville Smith, his son and grandsons, 3 generations working side by side. Here tonight also are grandfather-granddaughter fellow employees, mother-daughter teams, and brothers and sisters. Men and women joined together by the spirit of Studebaker. Backstage, Fred goes over his script for the last time. With only seconds to go, Lillian and the rest of the cast try to remain calm.
When Studebaker started 100 years ago, the famous founding brothers could never guess or know that when they built their wagons and hitched them to the stars, someday their name would shine in fame on horseless motor cars. 1852. Two brothers named Studebaker opened a blacksmith shop in South Bend, Indiana. 1871. Mrs. O'Leary's cow burned down Chicago. 1 year later, fire struck the Studebaker Brothers Manufacturing Company. Within 2 years, the brothers had rebuilt their factory into the finest carriage and wagon works the world had yet seen. In 1902, Studebaker celebrated its golden anniversary. The company entered its second 50 years with the sale of its first horseless vehicle, an electric. Second customer, Thomas A. Edison. In 1920, Studebaker discontinued wagon making entirely to become exclusively a maker of automobiles. And this year, the company had introduced its popular family-style Big Six. In 1939, Studebaker entered the low-price field with its stylish new Champion. 1952. Studebaker celebrated its 100th birthday. The distinction of being the first car of its second 100 years falls to its sleek 52 hardtop. In these past few minutes, we have seen 100 years pass quickly by. As a salute to our next 100 years, let's all, audience, everybody, join with the Studebaker Glee Club and male chorus in singing our song, Rolling Along for 100 Years.
Rolling along for 100 years, sing of the Studebaker, wagons and buggies and automobiles, sing of the Studebaker. Born in the year 1852, dream of a dream and it all came true. Smart as a whip for any old trip, sing of the Studebaker.